the Pulsechain ecosystem has been great. Some people kill me though. Like some people get upset when you buy other coins within Pulsechain. That was the whole purpose, to create a new layer one. You know, you want mass adoption, so don't get mad because people are buying things other than Hex, Pulse, and Pulsex. There's plenty of people
it's just
that
like
are onboarding.
Nike, New Balance, Adidas. You got all the different shoe brands, and then sometimes people only like one shoe brand, and that's a very general comparison. But you're always going to have people looking for something else. We can only leading the horse to the water. You can't force them to drink, but we just got to keep leading the people to wherever is best for them. But I know what's best for me, and I'm definitely Richard Hart ecosystem 100. But what I'm saying is everybody has their own look on things, but the less education, the less information people have, the less able people are willing and able to make those decisions that are going to be best for them.
I mean, like the NFT guys and the meme guys, I used to freaking hate NFTs and memes. I still don't care for them, but like I do see these communities are onboarding quite a few people in the Pulsechain. I mean, you might not notice it now, but I mean, I was in a Spaces the other day and they were onboarding people. It was like insane that people that have never touched Pulsechain.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
Have you ever looked into people that just don't file?
The people that just don't file are idiots, because if you're worth less than $2 million, you can renounce your U.S. citizenship, gain residency in a tax haven, and never worry about the IRS again. If you do have to pay the exit tax, it's only, I think it's only 23%, which is $230,000 for every million U.S. dollars. So if you make $23 million this bull run on Pulsechain, you pay $230,000 to have the IRS out of your life and to be in the Cayman Islands. And then you can fish mahi-mahi and fuck Bahamian chicks as long as you want without paying taxes.
I like the mahi-mahi. It's good shit. Cayman Islands, huh?
It's only one tax haven. Turks and Caicos is a tax haven. Bermuda is a tax haven. French Polynesia is a tax haven.
But if you're not moving there, you'd be better off just not filing at all.
You can't not file. Like I think Wesley Snipes owed like $5 or $10 million in taxes. He had to do 10 years in a federal penitentiary.
Nicolas Cage.
Really?
He didn't go to prison.
Did he lie on his taxes when he filed them, or did he just not file them?
He didn't pay it. He wanted to keep all the money that he made, all the money that he got paid. He was like, I'm just not going to pay it. I'm not doing it. And if you do that, like if you do that in crypto, like I made all this money, I'm not going to pay it. I'm moving to Africa. They will throw your ass in a federal penitentiary.
They don't pay attention until you have a lot of money, right?
Of course.
Every penny you have has been taxed and retaxed. I have watched them print out trillions of dollars just out of thin air. They don't need our money. They don't need our taxes to fix the roads or the bridges or the infrastructure. They print this shit out of thin air when they want it. It's all a game to keep us poor slaves.
Well, what are we going to do about it?
I'm going to ape in as hard as I can for the second bull run. I'm getting to this bull run. I don't know about you.
Same here, brother.
Well, that's it, isn't it? Find the best crypto you can to escape the matrix. Hex is the best thing I've ever seen.
Do you guys think we got to blow off top in 2024? Or we go all the way to 2025?
Well, if we don't have a blow off top, that means we don't have the bull run that we are all in this room hoping for.
Mid 2025, it's looking like.
I mean, I can see Hex on Pulsechain doing what Hex on Ethereum did in the last bull run.
I
can see us going to 50 cents. Yeah, I could see us going over 50 cents. Why not? It did it in the last one. Is our community any less strong than it's ever been?
It's
bigger. Exactly.
Bigger.
3 times.
It's bigger, but there's more butterfingers than diamond hands.
Well, I'm just saying, I could see us going to at least 50 cents.
Can I humor you guys for a second on how that can happen real easily without any more economic energy coming into this current system we have? If you buy into the ATROPA conspiracy that Richard is behind that, then you would look at the ATROPA system, because that's what it is. It's a system of several tokens. But if you buy into that, is controlled or at least influenced by Richard. ATROPA itself right now has enough energy. If it was to pump it all into one place, unlike what it's been doing, it's been distributing it like equally through a bunch of different tokens. But if it was to focus all that energy into one token, that token would do insane numbers.
Pulsex can do that. Pulse can do that.
Right, but which one is he more fond of? Pulse X, or Hex?
Hex.
Exactly.
Pulsex,
If that was the case. Now, this is just a theory.
So what were you saying? Right now with Pulse, and even more so Pulse X, but I just don't value Pulse X personally as much as I value Pulse. Pulse, right? But that's a personal choice. But technically, if we're looking at units of appreciation, the most you can get right now is Pulsex. If you put $1,000 into Pulsex right now, I mean, my God, I don't even know how many hundreds of millions that is, but it's a lot.
$1,000 gets you 24 billion pulse, or it gets you 92 million Pulsex.
92 million? Okay, so just shy of 100 million Pulsex. So if I'm playing the units of appreciation game, I would be going into Pulsex, right? That's what you should do. That's what logic would tell you to do. And yeah, and you're talking about the total supply and units of appreciation, but also like, what is it going to take? But also, Pulsex has a lot of negative externalities, dude. There's way too many. There's too much sell pressure on it.
I don't think there's enough.
I think there's too much sell pressure on Pulsex versus Pulse. Because I think, and even less so Hex, because there's not that many people that have a lot of Hex, and then there's not that many people that have a lot of Pulse, and then there's too many people that have Pulse X, right?
Actually, I think there's more people that have Hex than Pulse and Pulse Hex.
I don't know, dude. That would be a very interesting like chain analysis thing to figure out. Is like,
there's over.
What is the total like token distribution amongst community members, like in terms of like dominant factor of majority wallets holding said token? So like people, like
you can't even see those stats right now.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like,
but
I tell people that have Hex, then there are people who have, and I say people, I mean I'm talking about whales who can actually make an impact on what happens when they dump, right? I'm talking about being able to dump billions or tens of millions of Hex, right, and not have it be a thing. There's not that many people that can dump 100 million Hex right now. Like there's so many, right? But there are so many more.
There's 1,000 times more fucking. There's 1,000 times more supply.
Right. But
the ratio is not at 1,000. So one of them is overpriced.
I think if anything, if one of them's overpriced, then Hex is overpriced. Like because it's the highest valued right now. It's obviously been to the point where the lowest price point that Hex. I'm talking Hex on Pulsechain too, by the way. I'm not talking about eHex right now. I'm talking about Hex as it stands on Pulsechain has maintained a level of value higher than anything else in this fucking ecosystem in terms of new capital entry.
You can actually earn
new capital entry point.
Hex does something they don't do though. I mean, with only a couple clicks with Hex, you can actually earn Pulse or Pulsex or anything else you want. You know, with Pulse, you're going to have to run a validator. A lot of people aren't willing to do that. With Pulsex, you're not earning nothing. So there's a superiority to Hex.
Element to Hex, right? But
why would you get rid of it when you can generate millions of Pulse with it?
But we're talking about units of appreciation, though, right? Because all of these things are going to appreciate in value at their respective price points, right? So Hex has, been valued.
That's not how it works. That's not how it works, though. It doesn't work on prices, though. It works on what's in the liquidity pool and how much you can move with income coming into that liquidity pool. And with Pulsechain, it has massive different liquidity pools, right?
Yeah,
with Hex,
yes.
It doesn't. There's a billion Hex for sale, period. There's trillions of Pulse out there.
Yeah,
trillions and trillions. It's like,
yep.
So the liquidity pools for Pulse, it's tied to DAI and it's tied to everything else, and there's hundreds of billions upon billions of those. So, but we could play around just on Pulsex right now, and you can plunk in some numbers like which one's going to move faster based on what you're putting in, which would be interesting to do. Right?
That's what I'm saying. They're not gonna all. It's not like one is gonna. Well, actually, no. I would look at it. What has been when everything pumps? What pumps to a percentage higher, slightly higher than the other two? There's a tiered pumping system. There's like when everything pumps.
There is.
They all pump simultaneously, but at their respective price points. But Pulsex.
So Hex is outside. It's a chain based on what? Pulse to Hex to DAI. Hex to Pulse to DAI. So anytime Hex is going up, Pulse would be dragged up, right? Vice versa as well for selling. If people sell Hex, it's selling Pulse at the same time. So you can't get away from each other unless we develop the liquidity pools bigger. Every time Hex sells, it's selling Pulse if you're selling through to stables.
Yeah.
So you think, oh, is Hex going to go down more or Pulse? Well, every time you sell Hex, you're selling Pulse. So what does it make any difference which coin you pick? And every time you buy Hex with a stable, you're actually buying Pulse to buy Hex, which changes the ratio, but it still is pumping
Well,
Pulse. It changes the
is
ratio of
that
Pulse to
because
Hex,
what
but
about
it's
the USDC hex or DAI hex? I mean, is that auto router running it always through Pulse? Is there always going to be a Pulse in that auto router?
until you build a liquidity pool that has
Okay, so if
millions
the
of
stable.
dollars, it'll skip over it.
Okay. So if the USDT or USDC, for example, stable pool overtakes, let's just say the Hex Pulse pool, then that would become the direct primary route for that auto router to run or to essentially route your transaction through. Like that would be the least amount of slippage, the best
Yeah,
route, best fee, everything like that. Okay, so because the Pulse pool to Hex Pulse and Hex pool is larger than any other stable. I'm talking wrapped stables, wrapped DAI, wrapped USDC, wrapped USDT. All of those three are surpassed still by the PLS pair with Hex. Is that
yeah, they're all
damn,
connected to
dude?
Pulse. They're not connected to Hex at all. They're connected to Pulse.
So no matter what I do right now, my fucking trade on my stable is going directly into Pulse, whether I like it or not, because the
100.
size
Why
of
do
the.
you think hex prices?
Yep.
Why do you think the hex price is what it is?
Because I guess the price is being fed between the ratio on Pulse and the ratio of the other pools. So Pulse being the largest pool, and then Pulse has
No,
a
because it's
number of other
biggest
factors.
liquidity. It's dominant liquidity. Its dominant liquidity is paired to a coin that just got 75% of its fucking value stolen from it. Like, you guys try to make this so complicated, and yet I said the exact same. I'm going to keep saying it. The number one thing I said before this chain went live was this is going to happen. Did I say this or not? Did I not say this was going to happen? Meaning that we could either go up or we're going to go down. The only way we go down is if people steal the value that we put in, and they set a fucking ratio, and then the ratio gets set, and then the ratio is set, and then all this value gets put in, and then everything gets extracted. Why? Well, because we're not bringing it to ETH. If we would have brought all these coins to ETH and then paired it on ETH, where would the value would have gone? It would have stayed in ETH. Just like Hex, and that's why Hex went to 55 cents, because it's there. There's money. On us, there is no money. Why? Well, because the value is lent. It's not
But the
a
community
value.
is not organized. Like EX could have all been shoved into the bridge, and then everybody could have taken their EX and they could have shoved it into Hex, and it would have pumped the price like crazy. But the community's not that smart. They're not that organized.
Or when there was problems at the beginning, but you see, that's another thing too, which is like
These aren't.
the smart move would have been to listen to me, but also at the same time you kind of wanna coop people into the chain. You don't want them not to be on the chain.
Well, yeah. I mean, the idea is to bring the users from
Well, kind of the
Ethereum
idea
to
with the
Pulsechain and then retain the value over here, and then
well the
continue to
normal
encourage the value over here. Which that narrative still exists, okay? Because it's the same code, it's the
not
same
when you have
contracts.
not when you have like
It's
not
just
when you
gate
have
kept
$40 million
right now.
not when you have like $40 million on one side and 1 million on the other, and then it's not going to work out. It's not going to work out for you, dude. It's really not going to work out for you. You have like 2 million on one side and you have like 40 million on the other. It's not going to work out for you, man, on one side. It's really not. I don't know what experience everyone has, but my experience, it's not going to work out. Meaning that it's not going to die, but it's definitely not going to pump. And that's why now we can see another zero come in, because I think that's the plan. This was the plan the whole time. To fuck it all
Well,
up.
AVAX right now has 30,000 users. They have no devs, no venture capitalists left. They're basically nothingness. So it's pretty impressive we surpassed chains like that within months. And whatever the price is right now doesn't really matter. What matters, I mean, if the price goes lower, it makes people like me stronger over time because I'll keep buying more, so that's great. But what matters to me is the growth in users is real, right? Ethereum's got 380,000 wallets active right now. We've got 350,000 wallets active, which means we've almost surpassed Ethereum's activity within a couple months.
And that's in
that's only going to
the bottom of a
increase
bear market, right? That's it.
when nobody talks
When
about us.
nobody
Right.
wants shit about fuck with crypto. No one gives a shit.
That's how we speak.
I'm agreeing.
We left Ethereum. They're negative on their users. People are actually saying they're worried about Bitcoin and Ethereum specifically, that they're losing users. They're not gaining adoption. They're, the idea of, oh, they have to do well in the next bull market. Well, if you get less users, you don't have to do well. And look at Bitcoin. It's been struggling ever since they hit 20K. That was a long time ago in 2017. Where has it gone since then? A 2, 3x, and then what? Back to 20K, for years. So it has to do with adoption, and they're not doing it. So far, we're accelerating at a very fast pace.
Yeah.
Who knows if we can keep it up.
Dude, it's going to come down to giant green dildo candles, okay? I mean, dude, just look at what happened in 21 with Hex, bro. Look at how how many users were acquired and how many eyes on, and look at the chart and look at the volume. Just go to the volume chart of Hex over time and you'll notice how insane the buy and sell pressure became,
We went from
the green
we went
started
2021.
going up. Everything started fucking flowing, dude.
3x,
dude.
3x the stakers too in a year, which is really good. Now we're growing in stakers only on Pulsechain. Hex is losing. We're at a negative staker rate
On Ethereum.
It's actually dropped 1,000. We've dropped about 1,000 stakers on Ethereum, and we've gained about 4,000 to 5,000 on Pulsechain. No. We stopped. It's not a staking coin. It's a degen. It's EHEX is a degen coin. It's not staking. So the growth we want to see.
Stakes copied over. Thank God.
No, yeah, it's good. They're on Pulsechain. The problem is you want the adoption. You want the demand. Big whale coming and making a green candle doesn't work for the long term if you don't have the users, right? Like that could get users excited if there are users, but if there aren't, then we see what happened. Basically, there was a god whale pump, and then it got nuked, right? It was like 18 cents to 28 cents, and it got nuked down within a couple days, all the way back down. And ever since then, we didn't see like big whale candles because, hey, the community wanted a lower price tax, whether a whale comes in, or not. It didn't even matter. There's too much sell pressure. So it's weird because there's that dynamic where you've got whales want what? They don't just want one or two whales. They want a bunch of pleb, small time, 50,000. They want the meat and potatoes users, and they want 1 million of them or 2 million of them, so they feel comfortable. And then all these, people who've got $10,000 or less, they want the big whales, so they feel comfortable. You know what I mean? It's like it's that chicken or egg thing where you got to have both.
Yeah.
Coca-Cola for $2 or whatever. You have millions of them, and that's up. And then the big people come in and invest.